the new clutch from Moustache. This is the Moustache Clutch, the 150.6 EQ version of it. We've just taken it out the box and I built it. Literally as part of the build process, the pre-delivery inspection. I'll do a mile ride on it. That's up and down the track here and on the tarmac and everything, just to make sure that there's no nasty rattles or squeaks and everything is working well. I've got it set up correctly. So I've done the build on it, had a really quick ride on it, and I thought I'd give you an overview of my first impressions really of the bike and what I really think about it before doing like a full review or anything in detail like that. So first of all, first things I'd say about the clutch, the reason that we've brought it into the range of things that we've got alongside the Riese Müller bikes is because Riese Müller don't make something like this. So this isn't an alternative to, say, a Delight 5 or a Charger or something like that. It fits into another little gap. The clutch fits into something that's more of the mountain bike side of things. It's more fun. It's designed to get out on the trails, predominantly be that side of the riding. But the EQ version of it is kitted up, so it sort of brings it back into the commuting side. So the EQ adds on things like the racks, the lights, some other things I can't think of. Oh, obviously the mudguards to stop you get covered in crud whilst you're doing your ride to work. Things I noticed on the bike immediately once I've taken it out and started building it. Light, I guess. It's a little bit lighter than some of the other Riese Müller bikes. So we all know a Riese Müller bike is going to be big and heavy. Essentially, we've got the same components. So we've got things like the 800 watt-hour battery and the Pinion motor that's in here. So that's standard across the range. So that's not really something to get into on this. But the rest of the frame, it just feels a little bit lighter. Less to it, a bit thinner, you know, everything else just feels like you could throw it around a little bit more. And I guess that's because this is more of a mountain bike rather than a super high mileage commuting type bike. But as I scan through things, there's a few things that I noticed that are immediately different on this bike. And one of my favourites are the little multi-tool. So standard, I don't know if you saw it, I pulled out a little multi-tool out of the stem there. It comes as standard on these Moustache bikes, and it just folds out and it's got all the different tools that you need to be able to adjust everything on your bike. Really cool little thing, and it just goes into the top there and sits. The other things you notice, so this has the smaller screen. So on some of the Riese Müllers, you'll find that you get something called a comfort display, which is a big display that sits in the middle. This has the smaller Pinion display. It's still perfectly functional. The motor does everything the same, so there's no difference there. It's just what you get as an interface. It's got a power button on the top of the tube there. You hit that one to turn it on. Lights come on, lights front and rear because this is the EQ version of it. And then it's got a little left and right button to go through all the different assistance levels. Again, on the handlebar here, we've got a plus and minus. And then we've got an F button, which I think is a boost button, a fly button essentially. I'm guessing that's what it is. Puts it into maximum mode whilst you're riding along, so you can just hit that and go. I've struggled with the screen a little bit, if I'm honest on this. I haven't got as much opportunity to go in and change things like, I haven't found easily how to change the cadence. I've still got the language is still in French and I've got it in kilometers. I'm sure I can change that if I log in through the phone app, but I haven't managed to do it plugging into the computer, but I've managed to update everything and get it all going. So essentially, same stuff, motor and everything does the same thing. It's got the same auto shifting and all that sort of thing as the other bikes. And it's just doing the quick ride up and down. It's a nice ride. It's a different ride, but it's nice. It feels more alive, more fun. It's pushing you to do more fun stuff.
Nice bike.
Again, because it's a mountain bike rather than a sort of a tourer GT type bike, it's got these rounded grips rather than the ergon grips. Again, perfectly good, great for grip when you're riding off-road, maybe not so comfortable for long-distance riding. If that's a big thing for you, they're easy to change, but I don't think people would. They're very good quality grips. Things like dropper seat posts, slightly cheaper dropper seat post, does the same thing, has massive extension on it for people like me. Obviously, this is a full suspension bike. We've got some RockShox suspension. I think this might be actually Moustache's own rear suspension shock that's on there. It looks good. That is really important with this type of bike. So we've got this glossy grey, which looks really nice. And I like the branding where it says Clutch up here. You get an option of sticker packs as well. And I've put one on here, which is like a cartoon character one. And it just makes the whole bike look a little bit more fun. So rather than being a really austere, serious bike, this is fun. That's what it's about. And that's what Moustache is obviously about as well, is a bit more fun, light-hearted stuff. Moving towards the back of the bike. So because this is the EQ version, it's got the racks on it. Now, sort of pulling out the box, I notice it's got these lugs here on the back. I'm assuming, and I'll check, but I think these are probably QL 3.1 or something for Ortlieb panniers, but they might be for Moustache type stuff. So Moustache give us lots of options on their website, so we can buy and kit out the bikes with more and more stuff, which is really cool. I just need to check, but with those on there, I wouldn't fit a standard pannier bag. And I'm guessing the rating, which I'll have to check, of this rack on the back is a little bit lower than some of the other stuff that we're used to. Mudguard on the back is, I guess that's an aluminium of some sort, so it's really nice and robust. One thing I don't like, which bugs me a little bit, is the front mudguard is plastic. Now, in itself, that's not too much of an issue. But I've already broken one. I've only had one bike and I've broken one. Took out the front wheel, dropped it on the floor, sitting on the bottom of the forks. And because this piece down here is longer, I don't know if you can see that, but the back end of the mudguard is longer, it actually cracked the mudguard. Now, because it's plastic, it doesn't flex so much, it doesn't bend and all that, so it just cracks and it goes. So that was annoying, but I did get a new one relatively quickly, and it was cheap, so there was no massive cost to it. So I would say that's a little frustration. Other things that I noticed is that I go through the bike, so obviously it's a belt drive as well, which makes it really nice, clean lines and everything, no weight in the rear wheels, so that's nice. It does have that very cool clicking noise when you're rolling, which is nice. Things like these reflectors, I'm expecting most customers are probably going to take them off when they got them, but there's a reason that they're on there. Most commuter bikes now, so bikes that are intended to be on the road, they'll have reflective tyres, walls on the tyres, a little stripe going around them, which means you don't have to have that reflector on there. Because these don't have it, we have to put reflectors on them to supply the bikes to you. It's just part of the law. So that makes it look not quite so cool. A little upgrade to the reflective stripe on the tyres would be better. But the reason it hasn't got it is because this is primarily an off-road bike. Other things I did notice, the stand, I'll flick it down in a minute, perfectly suitable, does the job, robust, it's solid, but it just doesn't feel like the quality is as high as some of the other bikes we've tried in the past. But it's still very practical, and I can't imagine it's going to wear out soon. It just has a bit of a faster kick up as it comes up, which is me being really picky about quality stuff, but hey-ho, that's what it is. And I did have a little bit of a problem when I took out the rear wheel. So there's a bit of a weird thing going on with the way that the snubber, so there's a little wheel that sits just off of the belt on the back that holds it to stop the belt jumping off the rear sprocket. It doesn't touch the belt, but it just sits there. That has an attachment that fits onto the frame, and then the axle comes through the frame and then screws into that. I had right trouble trying to get that back in when I took the wheel out after the build. It must have taken me 4 or 5 attempts. Eventually it went. I don't know if it was just me not knowing what I'm doing, this being the first bike I've had, and whether there's a knack to it. But but it was toys out the pram type time. So that was frustrating. But overall, the bike, really lovely to ride. So I've ridden it off out of our new workshop here in the Piggery in Little Dartmouth. We've got a bridleway in front, so if I go left, I've got tarmac roads. If I go right, I've got a bridleway along the coast. I took a little spin along the bridleway, and super smooth. And what you realise is that, you know, I'm straight into flight, obviously straight away, up the speed, and you can just cruise on those bridleways where it's like rough and rutted, and you just plough on through. The bike feels light. I would say it feels quite different to some of the Riese Müllers stuff, and I think it's the handlebar setup. This is a large frame. I'm 6'1", and if anything, I felt it was a bit small, but I think that's probably more the dimensions and the design of the bike rather than it actually being small. Obviously, big travel on the front here as well. We can lock all that out. Same on the rear as we go. Who's going to buy this bike? I think somebody who is maybe looking for, who wants to buy a bike on the Cycle to Work scheme. One of the rules of Cycle to Work scheme is you have to use it 50% of the time for riding to work, but they actually want a mountain bike. So this is something that you could realistically ride to work every single day, but at the weekend, it is a really good off-road toy. So you can go and play quite a lot on it. If you wanted, you could buy exactly this bike on Cycle to Work again, without all the mudguards and all the EQ kit if you wanted, and then it is a thoroughbred mountain bike. And then it comes in two different specs, a 150 or a 160, and that's really around the suspension specs that you're getting on the bike. But overall, it's more of a fun, more of a, you know, a fast off-road type bike than some of the Riese Müller sort of GT touring long distance types bikes. And it's a little bit cheaper as well. So the Moustache stuff tends to come in just below the Riese Müller. I think this one, I've got a price ticket here as a reminder, this one is about 7,399 quid. The equivalent, although it's not really very equivalent, but the Delight 5 Pinion, so Riese Müller's full suspension Pinion single battery bike is just over £8,000. So there's about £600 in it. But I would say this is the one if you want to do more off-road. The Riese Müller is the one if you want to do more on-road type stuff. And try not to get too caught up in the price. I know it's important, but it's more important to think about what the bike's for, how you're going to use it, and then choose the right bike to do that. And that's something that we're good at doing, and we can definitely help you with. Okay, I think that's probably about it on this bike as a first sort of initial thoughts on it. In the next few weeks, I'll get out there and do you a proper ride and do a full review on it once I've learned all the specs on it and I know the detail to help you choose and specify these bikes for yourself.